Hey, what's up guys? This is Technical Tim here, and I want to thank everyone so much who's been liking all my videos and subscribing to the channel. And if you, I'd really appreciate it if you like this video as well, and if you haven't subscribed already, I'd appreciate subscribing to the channel. And I'm not sharing my screen. I'm going to do a final thoughts video for the UFC Stockholm card. I ended up having more plays than I thought, and not forced picks in my opinion. Like, I think they're actually good picks that just, I didn't really realize I liked them until I deep taped and found a few things, and I'm pretty confident in some of them. So I'm gonna give you all those, and because it's just kind of a quick final thoughts video, I'm not gonna go into detail just because I forgot this card is on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. My time, because it's in Stockholm and I'm in the US, and I just want to get all these out and let you guys hear me talk about each fight generally. So I won't go detailed even in the fights that I'm picking, but I'll kind of give the concise and crucial reasons as to why I'm leaning those. But I have a few plays and I'll go through them. I'll start at the bottom of the card. Alvarez, Belluardo. I did a quick little video on this, and no strong opinions, regional talent. And I do want to say, I saw like a couple people commented that they liked a certain fighter in that. And whenever I say like, these are dumb fights to bet on, I don't mean it's like impossible to profit. And I don't mean like, I think it's more dumb for me to bet on them because these aren't my strengths, picks like this. Like, I'm sure you could find some value and you could really deep tape some things and maybe figure out an edge on a fighter, but generally these are just not the fights that I personally profit on. So whenever I say like easy pass, I'm meaning for me, because I know what fights I profit on, and I've been doing this a long time, and I know what I do well on, and I know what I've lost on historically too. And these are the type of fights that I just don't do well on personally, so I pass. So I'm not trying to be condescending or anything. I'm just pointing out, I think it's important to know your personal strengths and weaknesses on picking fights, and I know those are the type of fights, regional, 1v1 regional talent, like two regional guys, I don't do too well on. Next fight, Clark Tosic. I'm playing Devin Clark here, and I did a podcast with Gugabe a few days ago, and I actually I kind of said I liked Clark, as an underdog. But even, I got him around even money, but even around like even money, which he is now, I think you can get him anywhere from like even to minus 120 right now. I think he's going to win this fight, and I think he's going to be okay. And I'm going off Stosic's fight. He's only had a couple fights to actually play out and go deep. And it was against Dion Starring. Sorry if I fucked that name up. Sorry guys. I'll just call him Starring. In those, he fought 2 fights against him, and Starring's like an experienced guy. And especially in the first one, he really slowed down, and he has a tendency of having his back too close to the cage. And whenever Starring started implementing a game plan later of kind of pushing him up against the ropes, even if Starring didn't have a lot of success in doing it, he just was persistent with it. And it ended up slowing Tosic down a little bit, and it ended up leading to a takedown, because even though Tosic has really good hips early, and I expect him to be okay in the wrestling early in this fight, the first half, eventually that kind of clinching up led to a takedown, and Tosic looked really bad off his back. And what I think is going to happen here, like you just can't have your back against the cage, and that's going to give an invitation for Clark to run him up against the cage. And my biggest bet of the year this year, it's the biggest bet I've ever had, was Usman over Woodley. And I said that Woodley hangs up by the cage too much, and it's going to give Usman the ability to just run up and clinch up without much danger, because he doesn't have to run to, he can push him up quickly, just use his blitz that he has naturally, which Clark has as well, to kind of push up Woodley against the cage. And I think that's what Clark is going to do to Tosic. I think there's just too many invitations to push him up. And I think he might not have all that much success doing that early, but I think the more the fight goes, all of a sudden he's going to have more success. And I think he's going to fail takedowns early, but the more the fight goes, he pushes much more of a pace than Starring did in his fight. And I think he's just going to wear Tosic down and eventually have a very clear later round. Like, I think he's going to dominate round 3. Very clear. And I think Tosic will be totally in this fight early, but I don't think he throws enough. He has some good leg kicks. He's a powerful dude, but he's not busy enough to where I think he can even win the early rounds clear. So I think it's going to be one of those fights where it's competitive for a while, and then Clark clearly takes over, and he's going to win. That's what I think is going to happen. Can Tosic land a big shot and knock Clark out? Absolutely, as Clark could do to Tosic too. But from a round-winning perspective, I just think Clark is better. And I think he's going to be busier. And another thing, sorry that I'm getting more detailed than I wanted to in this video, but another thing that Clark does well is he'll stay out of punching range and just range overall, and then come in, blitz in, get back out, blitz in, get back out. He did that versus Mike Rodriguez. And Mike Rodriguez is actually like a tall guy with kicks, so his range is just longer. And Clark was able to kind of control that range defensively without getting hit too hard. And I think Tosic, they're actually very similar in reach and height, Clark and Tosic. And I think he'll be able to do that even without that much trouble. Like, he could obviously get knocked out. And if he gets knocked out, it's what the fuck ever. This is MMA. But I just think the implied odds right now at a 50-50 fight, I think Clark should be the favorite here. And so I ended up playing him, and it's really that Tosic just hangs out by the cage too much. And in a cage, Clark's going to be able to push him up. Clark uses good head position to keep you up there. And I think although Clark won't be able to dominate there early, I think eventually it will happen. So sorry I ranted there, but I think Clark's a good play. Malecki and Santana, no play here. Did a video on that. Regional fights again, not my strength. Camacho Hein, this is I'm not going to get too detailed here. This is a basic arithmetic fight. Camacho throws way more, and he's busier. And the grappling, I think, will mostly cancel out. Camacho does have trouble if you take him down and put hooks in, but I haven't seen Hein put hooks in a lot, so I think Camacho, if he does get taken down, will get back up. I think Camacho has the better hips from a judo perspective. Both of these guys are pretty judo-based. And I do think if anyone gets more top time, it'll probably be Camacho, but I don't think either guy will hold the other down for like significant periods. Like, there might be like a minute of top control here and there, but I think mostly the judo will cancel out and he'll end up on the feet. And Camacho is busier. He throws about double the amount of output. I know he's hittable, but so is Hein. Both of these guys are. And I think Camacho will just kind of be the more aggressive, busier fighter and land more. And so that's just from a numbers standpoint. From a technical striking standpoint, Camacho tends to struggle with straight punchers because he comes, he'll throw a jab, he'll throw some body shots, but he'll usually come with wild hooks, and that opens up him getting hit defensively with straight punches, and Jeff Neal just was dominating him with straight punches. But Hein doesn't really throw straight punches, so I'm not as worried about that. Hein throws a lot of hooks too, and I think that will make Camacho a little less hittable with really precise shots. And then Camacho also works the body a lot, and I've seen Hein susceptible to that. I think if Camacho focuses on body shots a lot, especially as he's the aggressor, I think it will open up a lot of strikes. And I like Camacho's jab. So Camacho likely will end up throwing technique out the window and not always focus on jabs and body shots, which I think can give him a lot of scoring opportunities here. He'll probably end up being in a brawl, but even in a brawl, I think he throws more, and he'll take a decision or something like that and just be the busier fighter. In a fight like this, either guy can get knocked out. There's going to be a lot of shots landed, but I think Camacho has maybe even a higher chance to knock out Hein than Hein has to Camacho. I kind of just like throw that out and look at who's going to be winning rounds, and I think Camacho's busier. And I think it's just kind of a basic like output play. And some of the technical striking I saw, I think, can open up Camacho to landing some shots. Santos Rey, no play. Landsberg, Evinger. I threw on Evinger early, and I got her like minus 170 early. I tipped this a while ago. Currently, out of all my picks that are tipped right now on my Bet MMA page, this is like the one stale line. It just got hit. Sorry, guys. But Evinger, I have more money on her untracked. I think I tipped like a unit or so. But I'm not going to go too detailed because the line got crushed, and I think now Evinger's not really playable. But she should dominate the wrestling here, in my opinion. And there's two reasons for that. One, takedown variety fucks up. It totally fucks up people who aren't wrestlers. Two examples of it are Bilal Muhammad versus Curtis Millender. Muhammad was going for clinch takedowns, and Millender was stopping them, and he was fine. And then Muhammad switched to just an open space double leg, and he got the job done in that fight with that double leg. And it was just a takedown variety, and it ended up kind of being a mental overload for Millender, and that's how Muhammad got it. Another one, more recently, was Chris Wade in PFL against Andrews, I think it was. I might be messing up the opponent. But he was doing the same thing. He was going for clinch takedowns, and then he switched the takedown up with an open space double. And the takedown variety ended up getting Chris Wade the takedown. And Evinger does even more takedowns. I've seen her do single legs, open space doubles, trips up against the cage. I've seen her do a lot of things. And I just think eventually she'll get takedowns because of the takedown variety. And then Landsberg's main way of winning is probably going to be a close decision. So even if this fight becomes closer than I anticipate it to be, Evinger could still win, like a fight that they both have success in a close decision. Landsberg's never really even attempted a submission, so we don't have to worry about like a guard sub. And probably no knockout is going to happen here standing. Like I doubt a flash KO will happen. So I really see Landsberg's only path to be a close decision. And a lot of her work where she scores is in the clinch up against the cage landing strikes, and I think that's going to open her up to a single leg. And when she's up against the cage, she's less strong in the body lock position than Evinger. It's called pummeling. Wrestling my whole life, you would sometimes just pummel for 30 minutes. Your coach would make you, with different partners, just pummel. And there's some guys, like I would be a lot stronger with pummeling, but then there's some guys who are just stronger than you pummeling, and you can kind of see it if you have that eye. And I feel like Evinger's a lot stronger in that over-under position. And Landsberg also keeps her feet. She doesn't keep them up against the cage when her back's against the cage. And so that will open up a trip for Evinger, in my opinion, up against the cage. She keeps them up, like not totally up against the cage. And they're actually like up farther. So if here's the cage, the feet will be here instead of up against the cage. And so that will open up a trip for Evinger. So that's some of the stuff I saw. And then Landsberg's not very good on the mat once she's taken down. And Evinger has a decent top game, heavy top game. So I think eventually Evinger will just kind of get the wrestling going. Totally ranted about that longer than I should have. Sergey versus Akhman, no play here. Regional talent fight, not my strength. Tamer Joe. No play here. Kind of like regional talent as well, even though Tamer's been in the UFC for a bit, but Joe doesn't check leg kicks and Tamer gasses too much for me to really be confident in either guy. Giagos and Hadzovic. If I was forced to play, I would go Giagos, but I decided not to play it. I just was like, fuck it. Like I was going back and forth between playing it. I'm not going to play it. Giagos has a good double leg, and he comes from he was a decent high school wrestler in America, and I can see his double leg. I can see it ingrained in his game, and he did it a lot against, was it Hirota, his last fight? I forget. I'm just blanking right now. But I like his double leg a lot, and Hadzovic really showed some vulnerabilities to a double leg against Alan Patrick, and I could see Giagos just out-wrestling him here. But at the same time, Giagos kind of gets a little tired, and I do think Hadzovic is a little bit better of a striker. So I just decided to stay away. I feel like if I was forced to play, I'd play Giagos, but I'm not going to. Stay away from me. Rakic and Manua. I'm staying away from this. I could totally see Manuwa knocking him out and Rakic running into a left hook, but I think Rakic is his athleticism, and he probably has a better chin here. And he could maybe get some wrestling going a little bit. I think he's probably going to win, but I would not be surprised if Manuwa KO'd him. I'm staying away from that fight. Next fight, Fishgold Amirkhani. I'm on Amirkhani here, and this was another one I didn't have strong opinions with, and then I taped yesterday, and I got super confident in Amirkhani. And in the striking, I think Fishgold's a little too wild. I don't think he's that good of a striker. Like, he kind of just spazzed out versus Cater, and then Cater kind of just stayed composed and started piecing him up with a jab. And he kind of just throws wild hooks. I'm not sold on his striking for like a 3-round fight. And even in other fights in Cage Warriors, he would kind of get tired, and he would just kind of like use brute strength to strike, and he kind of does that with his wrestling too. And I'm not saying Amirkhani's like a way better striker or anything. I just don't think Fishgold is like gonna just straight up win there. And then I think Amirkhani's the better wrestler, and he shoots a sweep single with his head on the inside, and he's gonna land that in this fight. I'm very confident. I'm very confident he lands that sweep single a lot against non-wrestlers like Fishgold. That sweep single, and Amirkhani's sweep single is legit. Not many people in the UFC shoot a sweep single like that. He keeps his head on his inside, and it gives him like 30 different finishing opportunities once he has a single leg. And I've seen his takedown variety is legit, and he can do it throughout the fight. Even when he's a little tired in the third round, his sweep single is good. And his sweep single leg is what I shot my entire life. And I kind of know a good sweep single whenever I see one. You can kind of see the tightness and efficiency in the movement, and kind of just the overall coordination that he has once he has that single leg up in the air. And he'll kind of he'll go to a double leg, he'll run the pipe, he'll tree top, he'll do a lot of different things, and I think he's going to be landing that a lot. And I think on the floor, Fishgold, he's not good. There's going to be a lot of scrambling in this fight, and I think both guys will get top position at time. I definitely think that. I just think Amirkhani is going to get more top position because he has high man tendencies more. I always preach it in the scrambles. The high man usually wins the scrambles, and Fishgold will do things like going for leg locks, which allows the other person to become the high man if they just start posting up in the air. And Amirkhani will start doing post arms on the side and start working to just become the high man. He'll dig for underhooks and just starting to work his way up. And Fishgold doesn't do all those things that much. And even whenever he gets hooked, like takes someone's back, he'll fall off a lot. And Amirkhani's good at kind of creating scrambles whenever someone's going for a guillotine or a back take, and he ends up on top. I do think it's going to be a little bit of a shit show of a fight, but I think Amirkhani's sweep single leg and his overall wrestling and scrambling ability is going to allow him to become the top man more. And I think I like his wrestling cardio later in the fight as well. Even though he looks tired at times, his sweep single is still good, and I think he's going to win this fight, and I'm confident in that fight. Next fight, Ozdemir Latifi. I think I talked about this in the Gugabe podcast that I had done earlier. If Latifi put hooks in more often, I'd be more confident in him, because that's usually the demise of Ozdemir in the Smith and Cormier fights, is he'll give his back up and start getting back to his feet once he gets taken down. But Latifi doesn't really put hooks in. He'll go to the front headlock and go for a guillotine. That could work, but I could see Ozdemir getting up just because Latifi doesn't put hooks in. So I'm staying away from that fight. I could see Ozdemir out-busying him on the feet. I could see Latifi, both guys can knock each other out, but I could also see Latifi getting some wrestling going against, I think that single leg to the high crotch up against the cage that he likes to do will work. I'm not too confident he'll hold him down because he doesn't put hooks in. Last fight, Gustafsson-Smith. I did a video on this, and I think Gustafsson's going to win this fight. I think if you're playing Smith, you should play his inside the distance line. I just don't think he's a good enough round winner. And a lot of people kind of got mad at me for this, because I feel like a lot of people like Smith, and I like Anthony Smith. He seems like a good dude. But I just feel like if you're going to bet him in this fight, Bet his inside the distance. I don't think he's a bad fighter or anything, and I do think he can give Gus some issues in the striking. He just gets hit too much and doesn't land enough. And on his back, he's too complacent to play guard, to where I don't think he's worth a bet from a money line perspective. And I think Gustafsson should win this fight if the fight kind of plays out. I do think Smith is capable of getting a finish. I decided not to play this fight. I would stick Gus in parlays if I was playing parlays, but I'm not playing any parlays this event, so I'm just staying away from this fight overall. But I didn't mean that to be disrespectful, and I don't think Smith has no chance in this fight. I just think the striking data makes it a little bit of an uphill battle for Smith, but I wouldn't be all that surprised if Smith landed something. Like, he's got some, because he throws a lot, elbows, hands, kicks, knees, he throws everything. He's got kind of like the 8 tools from a striking perspective. It gives him opportunities to land something, and so he could land something big here. It's just Gustafsson's tough, and I think Gustafsson can get that open space double leg going. I think when Smith usually has success defending takedowns, it's up against the cage because he's good at digging double underhooks. But I think against like an open space double, I think Gustafsson could even get him down if he's hurt. I'm not saying Smith has no chance here. I'm just saying I wouldn't bet him at his money line. That's all I'm saying. So sorry if I offended anyone there. I'm not playing the fight, but I do think Gus wins. But yeah, that's everything. Just a quick recap. My plays are Clark from moneyline perspective. If you want to buy my picks, you can buy them. You can get my Bet MMA, only $8 for an event. You can get them in the description to this video. But I'll probably have some props too. But from a moneyline perspective, I got, like I said, Clark. I have Camacho. I have Amirkhani, and then I have Evinger, but her line kind of got smashed. So that's what I got. And if you have any comments or anything, comment below or message me on Twitter. And I just want to thank you all for always being cool in the comments. I get some criticism here and there, but just is what it is. I get other people have different opinions. We're all predicting fights, so not everyone's going to agree. So that's cool. But good luck for the event, and I'm glad it's an early event. It's like 9 a.m. or something, so I'm pumped on Saturday. I can just wake up and start watching. So good luck, guys. Bye.